For the crime procedural NCIS, romance is not the focal point. The show examines criminal cases associated with the military. Because the team at the center of the story works so closely together, however, romance can bloom between members. Though very little of the romantic relationship between Tony, Michael Weatherly, and Ziva, Cote de Pablo, is actually shown on screen in NCIS, there is no denying their bond. When Ziva joins the series in Season 3, they immediately have a connection. Over the course of 8 seasons in which they appear together, their bond grows, and it becomes clear that there are more than friendly, or even simply co-workerly, feelings between the two of them. Tony and Ziva's most romantic moments highlight their connection. 10. Tony and Ziva kiss while undercover. Undercovers, Season 3, Episode 8. Ziva with sunglasses on while Tony is behind her in the NCIS episode Undercover's image via CBS. When Ziva was first introduced in NCIS, there was a little bit of animosity between her new teammates and her. They had just lost a teammate and were not sure if they could trust Ziva. Despite that, Ziva and Tony grew to have a playful banter pretty quickly. Part of that growth can be attributed to the Season 3 episode, Undercovers. The episode sees Ziva and Tony go undercover as a couple who happen to be assassins. It requires them to, quite literally, get under the covers together while they are spied on, while maintaining their cover personas. The two share a kiss. It's that kiss that helped many members of the audience see the potential for the two of them to be more than bantering co-workers. The kiss was not necessary for the pairing, but happened anyway. In fact, Cote de Pablo was quoted in TV Guide as saying Ziva and Tony weren't faking anything. At that point, in the case of a pairing like Tony and Ziva, the smaller moments between them can be very romantic since they were never officially a couple during their time on NCIS. Little exchanges of dialogue, or one character making a small gesture for the other, could be just as romantic as a dramatic declaration. That is the case with this Season 6 moment between the two. In the episode, Cloak, the NCIS team participates in a war game to assess how the agents would react in various situations. Gibbs specifically orders Ziva not to go after other players who have got to Tony. Ziva disobeys that order to save Tony in the game. While Tony tells her that he is tired of pretending, in reference to the war game itself, there's a deeper subtext to Ziva's agreement with him. At this point in the show, both characters clearly have feelings for one another that go beyond a harmless flirtation, but neither of them is willing to act on them. It's never explicitly stated that Ziva is tired of pretending she does not care about Tony, but it's clear that's what she means. It is a very small step toward the two of them eventually admitting their feelings, and a bittersweet one at that. Tony defends Ziva's innocence to anyone who will listen. Shalom, Season 4, Episode 1. A close-up of Tony on the phone in the NCIS episode Shalom image via CBS. In Season 4, Ziva had only been attached to the NCIS team for a season. Despite that, she was fairly ingrained with the other agents and had proven she was trustworthy to Gibbs, Tony, and McGee. When Ziva passes a cafe in which 2 FBI agents and a Syrian military official are killed via bomb, the FBI immediately suspect her because she has ties to a foreign government. As a Mossad agent on loan to the United States, they believe she could have been a traitor. Tony, however, would not hear a word against her. This is not so much one moment as it is several moments within the episode. Anytime an FBI or NCIS agent questions Ziva's loyalty, Tony is ready to defend her. Tony has no qualms about defending Ziva to any agent, no matter their status. It's not just sweet but a sign of how deep their trust goes. By this point in the show, Tony and Ziva dance in Berlin. Berlin, Season 10, Episode 21. The NCIS Season 10 episode takes Tony and Ziva to the titular Berlin. Ziva spends a good chunk of the season investigating who is responsible for her father's death, and Tony accompanies her to Berlin in this chapter of that investigation. Tony and Ziva go undercover here while following a lead. Their undercover operation leads them to share a slow dance in the middle of a bar. That dance is one of their most romantic moments in the entire series because it's something that, despite happening while working, is completely outside of their usual NCIS banter, still showcasing their chemistry, and allows them to be vulnerable with one another. Rarely do Tony and Ziva simply stop and enjoy one another's company. The nature of a crime procedural prevents that. Here, they get lost in one another, even if it's just for a moment. It demonstrates the depth of emotion for both of them. Tony and Ziva hold hands in Berlin. Berlin, Season 10, Episode 21. Tony and Ziva's clasped hands in their car in Berlin in NCIS image via CBS. Another one of Tony and Ziva's most romantic moments comes courtesy of the NCIS episode, Berlin. The episode is one of the best for Tony and Ziva fans because it's one of the few that allows them plenty of one-on-one time together. At the end of the episode, when the duo is getting ready to leave Berlin, Ziva gets vulnerable with Tony. She admits to him that she wonders if she would be different if the current Mossad director had not broken up the marriage of her parents. While Ziva is concerned as the two sit in the car they've rented, Tony takes her hand to tell her he should thank the new director for how she turned out. The two might have even taken the conversation further if they did not then get hit by another car. The moment builds on the dance they shared earlier in the episode, and it's a clear indication that the two are slowly moving toward becoming more than friends.